I've noticed that somewhere along the line, we all got scared of being seen trying, like putting in a visible effort suddenly became embarrassing. Whether it's trying to dress better, trying to chase a dream, trying to fix a relationship, we literally don't want to be seen. We hide our effort as if trying means we're desperate, or even worse, cringe. Hi, and welcome back to the podcast. Oh my god, today I'm so excited for this podcast that I did not make a tea. Like, I literally did not make a tea or a coffee or anything because I'm just so psyched up to start talking about this, and I want to start before the fuel goes away, before this buzz goes away, because if I go to make a coffee right now, I might come back and literally just stare at my camera like... So welcome back to the podcast. Today I want us to talk about something I've really been thinking about for literally 24 hours. This idea came into my head yesterday and I've been turning it around, and I did some little research on it and I put my thoughts together and I want us to talk about it. It's the death of effort in modern society. Why do we not want to be seen trying? Why is there so much shame tied to trying in this generation? We sort of have a fear of being seen. It can start from the littlest of things to the biggest of things. It can be dressing up when you're going outside, putting on something that feels authentically you but is not cool or conventional, putting on something that looks like you've put on a little bit more effort. Maybe you're going to class, maybe you're going to work, and you feel like you're doing too much. Is it that you're doing too much, or everyone else has just done too little? We have made too little the bar, so that if you're doing a little more, if you're putting effort, you seem to be cringe, you seem to be uncool. Let's dive into it. It goes without saying that social media plays a big part in why we consider trying or putting in effort to be something that's uncool. And there's this sort of internet perfectionism that has developed over a few years now, where trends that actually come on the internet are trying to sell the illusion or the idea of being perfect. Something like clean girl aesthetics, also things like highlights on Instagram. These sort of systems or trends that are in place on social media set an illusion in our heads of perfectionism. If we look at, for example, the clean girl aesthetic, it's literally selling the idea to you that you can look clean, slicked back without putting too much effort. And if you were to look at the BTS, the behind the scenes of someone getting to look clean girl aesthetic, they would have taken a lot of time to slick their hair back. Literally, the effort would have been so much messier than the result which you're shown. And no one really cares to show you the process. No one really cares to show you that they put effort in it. It's like, oh my god, I just woke up and I look effortlessly perfect. And that is the sort of illusion that is sold to us via social media. Something that I personally have experienced is, for example, the sort of pressure you feel to show up on specific social medias as a certain effortless aesthetic. For example, and I find this to be especially true for something like Instagram, you will find that the highlights, you see the highlights section of Instagram, it's literally sort of like a game for you to perfectly curate an aesthetic, and even your bio and everything about your page is sort of supposed to be effortlessly cool and perfect. And the fact that posting on stories has become something that we only do when we have something glamorous to show our audience, when we have something good that's going on for us, it has made social media seem like this perfect life is what everyone else needs to reach up to. It's what everyone else needs to get to. It is the standard. And if you're below that, if your life doesn't look perfect and effortless every other day, then you feel like you're sort of inadequate or there's something wrong with you in a way. And you find that you might even stop completely posting on these sites like Instagram because you feel like your life is not perfect enough, your life is not aesthetic enough for you to post. I have found myself actually falling into this trap where I'm like, oh my god, my content is not aesthetic. I cannot even post it on Instagram, so I just post on TikTok only, while I don't even notice that I'm trying to align to some sort of invisible rules which social media and trends have set for us. If you also look at lazy girl, the lazy girl aesthetic, it's where it tries to sell the idea that you can get results without really extending a lot of effort into things, you know. So this illusion of a perfectly, perpetually easy lifestyle leads to feelings of inadequacy, of course, because when you open Instagram and you look at people's stories, all you're seeing is perfection. People are going out, people are going to travel, people are seeing the world, while you are literally just sitting on your bed looking at their lives. It makes you feel inadequate, it makes you feel low in self-esteem, it makes you feel less, and makes you feel like there's a problem with you. Which of course might not be the case, because every other person's life is full of messiness. It's just that Instagram and social media have sold the idea to us that our messy bits of life don't need to be seen. We only need to post the perfect bits of life, the highlights. That's why it's highlight. It's not low light. It's highlights. Like, just post whenever you are at a high, whenever you're going through the highest moments, whenever you are at a perfect point in life. That's when you're gonna remember to post on Instagram. And it becomes so very automatic. I also find for myself, like, it's very automatic whenever I've taken selfies and they're like really cute and I'm like, oh my god, I'm gonna post this, it's like I'm gonna show people that I've got a highlight to post, and in the moment when you're posting it, you might not be thinking of like literally outshining people. That's not what you're thinking about. It's just that you have been conditioned to know that stories and highlights are literally for the high moments in your life, and it flows into not just how we show up on social media, but how we choose to show up in our own lives. I did not even expect to be like this fired up, but we're going. Okay, I'm gonna take like 3 instances where we can consider showing up or showing effort in relationships with people, showing effort in your dreams, and showing effort in your appearance. Of course, we can look at many other aspects, but just for the sake of keeping it short and snappy, we're gonna do those 3. Let us take something like showing up in relationships. We don't want to be seen as people who are trying too much, because it's like trying or putting effort in relationships with other people is seen as something that is desperate. You're seen as desperate, you're seen as needy, you're seen as clingy. And I'm not trying to say that anytime you put effort, that's exactly what people think, so that, you can confuse this with actually being needy, because you can get to a point where you literally overexert effort to have a certain friendship or a relationship in your life, and that can actually be considered a little bit clingy, which is an issue in its own. But what I'm talking about is literally just reaching out to people, and if you want to meet up with someone, just actually telling them about it. If you feel like you haven't talked with someone for a while, just actually reaching out to people. We have made it seem like that is uncool, and needing to meet up with someone or wanting to see someone or wanting to put effort in a relationship or a friendship with someone is uncool. And why are you bothered? Why are you caring? Why are you showing effort? And it can lead you to really losing relationships, friendships, which could have been something great if you just allowed yourself effort, allowed yourself to be seen trying. It comes down even to your dreams. If, for example, and this goes especially for people who you want to put out your work, you're trying to work towards a dream that sort of requires you to be on social media a lot. And for majority of dreams and goals that we have right now, some of them majorly require you to be on social media. For example, if you're an artist, you need to promote your music on the social media platforms and all that, that you have to put your work out there. And the fact that we have been sold this idea of things being effortlessly perfect, it can make you literally not put in the effort to be seen trying, because obviously you are an artist, but you've never put out your music. If you start putting out your music, it's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be perfect. And the thing is, if you buy into this idea of everything should be perfectly effortless and my music should be perfect when I put it out, and the way I put it out should be perfect, and I should seem very unbothered, and I should seem as if I don't even care if you listen to my music or not. If you put it out in that way, or you put that sort of standard in your head, you might end up not posting your music, not letting your music be seen, not striving for that goal. I think I'm sort of veering off, because I wanted us to look at why there's a death of effort. My head is buzzing. I'm trying to put everything into words as it's coming to me, and I fear I might be jumping from point to point, not really connecting everything together. I think this is the purpose of having a drink. That's why I usually have a drink, because whenever I'm just babbling with words, I just take a sip, Okay, let's take a sip of an imaginary drink. Why is there so much shame tied to effort in this generation? It goes back to also psychology. In psychology, there is this notion where whatever your brain conceives as a threat, whatever your brain sees as something to be afraid of, something that is likely to hamper your own survival, your own self-esteem, your own confidence, your brain will likely try to avoid that. And it's just evolutionary, because for us to evolve as human beings, we have had to literally spot threats and avoid threats, spot threats and run away from the threats and take off to safety for us to evolve and for us to survive. Because remember, evolution is majorly just prioritizing survival over everything else. To evolve, you need to survive. So to survive, you need to avoid the threat. And the thing is, in our modern society, fears like fear of judgment, fear of failure. I'm going to say failure in quote unquote, because I don't really believe failure. I just believe failure is a step in success. So it's not really failure, is it? Anyways, we have been told, or we have this fear of failure and fear of judgment deeply embedded in us and in society in general. That is exactly why we act in certain ways. That's exactly why we don't do certain things, because we have this fear of judgment, negative judgment. And so the thing is, your brain will literally conceive anything that is going to cause you to be judged negatively, or anything that's going to cause you to fail, as a threat. And based on your evolution as a human being, the way we've just been made, our primal instincts are to run away from threats. And so whenever you face a threat like being judged, like for example, if I post my music and I try to promote my music, people are going to see me trying, people are going to judge me. Some people will not even open the link to my Spotify, which I'm trying to sell to them, which I'm trying to promote, which I'm sending to friends, which I'm putting on my stories. Some people will literally ignore it. You might see that so many people have viewed your post that is trying to promote your music, but such few people have actually clicked on the link to open it and to listen to your music. And so it feels like you are being negatively judged. And sometimes it's not really the case. It's just that people have priorities, and someone not wanting to listen to your music is not something to say that you are the problem or they are the problem. It's just a matter of priority and a matter of choice. But this fear of perceived judgment and failure is what can make you step back into safety, step back from posting. So your brain is going to be like, okay, so what is the perceived threat? The threat is that we might be judged for posting our music. We might be judged. We might be rejected. We might fail if we try. So what shall we do? How do we step back into safety? We don't try. And if you don't try, you don't fail, right? But if you don't try, you also don't win. And I think that's the side of this coin that majority of us don't see. We don't see that not trying is not only a safe zone, it's also a death zone. This psychological instinct for us to hide back or retreat into safety, into the safety of not putting any effort simply because you're afraid of failing or being judged, is what can make many dreams die. And as with all the other previous aspects, it applies in so many different aspects of life. For example, we can take it in the aspect of style. Let's say you're trying to figure out your own personal style. You're trying to figure out what works for you, what, speaks you, what's your language in clothing. And to obviously figure out your personal style, you have to go through this like messy in between where you look very funny, when you come to look back on it, it's like, what was I wearing? What was I doing at that time? But in the moment you felt like you were actually looking good, and there's that messy in between that you have to go through if you're trying to figure out your personal style or to work towards a goal or whatever it is. There's that bit of effort that you need to put in, right? And the thing is, if you get so afraid of being seen trying, or if you get so afraid of judgment, if you start thinking about, well, if I decide to explore my own personal style and I walk out on the street, people are going to stare at me, and people staring at me equals people judging me, equals threat, equals something that can actually hamper my evolution and my survival. So you know what? Your brain will tell you, don't put on that outfit. Wear the casual things, wear the things that are comfortable, wear the things that are usual, the things that everyone else has come to accept as a norm. Hence, your authentic self is watered down. You don't get to discover that side of you that can express themselves through outfits and through a personal style. But remember, safety is a death of its own. Safety is not really safety, it's perceived. And also, fear and embarrassment and failure is also perceived. So the thing you can do is just rewire what you think and how you think around judgment and failure, and just remember, it's not about you. We have this sort of main character syndrome constantly going on in our lives. We always think everything is about us, when majority of the times it's not. So putting yourself out there does not mean that everyone will be watching you, judging you. Everyone is literally just looking to see you fail. By putting your music out there, you might get to someone who really loves your music. You might get to someone who's touched by your music, touched by your work, touched by your art, touched by what you say, touched by what you create, touched by the fact that you're putting an effort in the relationship you have with them. You might find, even for example, in a friendship or a relationship, that the other person is not really putting in effort because they are not in the mental state to put in effort. Maybe they're going through a rut and they are trying to figure out things, and they're literally not just not putting effort with their relationship with you, but with every other person in their lives. And you might find that such a person would really appreciate you showing effort. There's a difference between showing effort and constantly showing effort that is not reciprocated, and that's a whole other topic. But what I'm trying to say is, you should not just retreat into the safety of not trying. Okay, now I want us to get to the next section where we talk about something that is also sort of fueling the death of effort in our modern society, which is the nonchalance epidemic, or the rise of detachment in modern society. Anyone who has been on social media of late for the past few years has noticed the rise in detachment, or the rise in the I don't care, the IDGAF sort of aesthetic or outlook, the unbothered look, the cool girl, cools, I don't care energy that is seeming to be all over social media and in literally every other thing, whether it's I don't care what other people think about me, which obviously if you're a human being, you do to some extent care what people think about you. It's just that you're trying to seem unbothered, but we all do care. Even if right now I say, I don't care if you don't like this video. In a way, I do care. We all care in some way. And social media has sold to us this aspect of being nonchalant equals being cool. Not caring about things is being cool. Not trying, not putting effort, being detached is the new thing. And the reason why I feel like this epidemic of nonchalance has come on so strongly is because the internet in itself is a really hyper visible environment. When you put something on the internet, I'm specifically talking about social media in this case. If you put something on the internet, there's always a chance that it can get 100 views, 1 view. There's also the chance it can get 1,000,000 views. You see? And so the thing is, you are never really sure how many people will get to see what you put on there. And so what this can bring up, and what this normally brings up, is a fear. Because one, yes, you might want to go viral, you might want people to see your content, but it also comes with a downside, a fear of being judged. And social media is not only hyper visible, but it is very judgmental by nature, because you're literally posting something, maybe your opinion, maybe your own lifestyle, to millions of people, like billions of people, and you're not sure how many of them will actually see it. So people might see it or people might not see it, and if they don't see it, then you feel like there are no results in your trying, in you putting yourself out there. But also if they see it, there's also that fear of now so many people get to have a say in whatever it is that you have put out there, and so many people get to judge you. And it goes back to the thing that we are afraid of judgment, and we have perceived that judgment is a threat, and that is something that we should try to avoid as many times as we can. And so the nature of social media being so hyper visible and judgmental makes people sort of retreat into a I don't care sort of facade, into a nonchalant facade, because they're trying to avoid the judgment, trying to look impervious to judgment, trying to form a barrier that protects them from being judged. While in the real sense, everyone does actually care. Everyone actually cares what people think about them. It's just about weighing whether you really care what people think about you more than what you think about yourself. It comes down to that, right? And even though you can do practices that help you cope with the fear of judgment, like exposure therapy, you can literally just expose yourself more and more to that fear until your fear of the fear lessens, and you can handle whatever it is that you're trying to handle without being so crippled by fear. I think at the same time, this sort of judgmental nature of social media is what pulls people back, makes people sit in the comfort zone, in the safety zone of not trying, not putting effort. For example, if you were to film something and put out something that is not perfect or is sort of cringe and embarrassing, it's likely that you will get negative feedback. You'll get people making fun of your content. You'll get people literally putting you down. And you find that in comment sections of social media places, especially places like TikTok, you find that people actually gang up against you, and everyone is just, it's like a competition to see who can throw the shittiest comment at you, because everyone is literally just trying to put you down. And we get so carried up in it that sometimes you even find yourself scrolling the comments and laughing. And when I catch myself doing that, I usually feel so bad, because someone has put a visible effort to put out something that's honest, that's so them, and then you open the comment section and people are saying mean yet hilarious things about them. And this sort of meanness disguised as hilariousness or comedy is I feel the worst kind of bullying there can ever be, because someone is literally trying to promote something, to just put something honest out there, and you come on and you bully them, but in a funny way, so that people kind of join in the laugh. And this now fear of being judged and being seen contributes to why most people take up or pick up the nonchalance facade, you need to like weigh and actually know what you yourself think about your own work, whatever it is you're putting out there. Have a solid sort of perception of your work, like have a solid perception of what you think about yourself and about whatever it is that you put out there. Because if you wait for the internet to validate you, if you wait for people on the internet to tell you the worth of your own work, then you are not going to have like a consistent, you're not going to be able to build self-esteem basically. Because if your self-esteem has to depend on something that's so shaky, something that's so fluctuating, something that is not stable, then your self-esteem will also fall and will crumble. So you need to sort of build it on something that you have set your mind to, like actually have a set belief about yourself, about your work. Be honest in your creation. Don't let the internet tell you who you are. Know who you are and gauge your work based on who you are. And when you put it out there, don't put it out there so that you can wait to see how people will react to it, but rather put it out there because you feel it's an honest piece of work that you yourself are proud of. I feel like I worded that so perfectly. Someone give me an Oscar. You also find that this nonchalance epidemic, this rise of detachment, seeps into all other aspects of our lives, and I want to specifically talk about how it seeps also into our relationships, because you find that people are now putting on this nonchalance facade and they feel like that's what's attractive. It's cool to not care, it's cool to be unbothered, it's cool for you to ghost me because I will chase after that, it's cool for you to not care about me. It goes much deeper than that, because most times when people put on an I don't care facade, it's because they're trying to, as we said, form a barrier or a shield against failure and against rejection and against hurt. And sometimes it's because of past experiences. They're like, last time I showed that I cared, I put in effort and I committed to someone and they did me dirty. So I'm never going to show that I care. Relationships, friendships, they are two-way. You have to meet each other at a certain point. And if you find yourself now in a relationship or a friendship with a nonchalant person, that means they are not going 50% of the way. They are going 10% of the way. And it's like you have to overcompensate for them. You see, so the friendship doesn't feel mutual. The balance is hanging more on one side than on the other side. So obviously someone is going to be straining in that relationship. So when we do not put in effort, despite caring for people, like you find that you care for someone, but you're like, oh my God, I cannot be seen trying. I cannot actually put in effort to ask what's wrong or to try and fix this issue between us. I'd much rather let it die. I'd much rather give it up so that I don't look like I care, because in past experiences, me caring always led to me getting hurt. So the nonchalance becomes a facade. The nonchalance, the detachment becomes a shield for yourself against getting hurt, and you find yourself being avoidant in nature. And you can, of course, find ways to work through this. You can find ways to heal from that and to become actually securely attached to people and not insecurely attached to people, because at the same time you don't want to be putting in too much effort to the point where you are being clingy and actually desperate. You just want to put in a healthy amount of effort and get the same healthy amount of effort subbed back to you. This brings us to a section which I have curated all by myself. Okay, that sounds very weird because the whole video has been curated by me, but in this section I want us to discuss glorifying effort. I want to call this small section the attractiveness of showing effort, because honestly showing effort is one of the most cool and most attractive things that someone can do. Number one, why is it so cool to show effort? Because effort shows you care. Effort shows you actually care and you're committed to something. If I care about my health, if I care about my studies, if I care about my goals, for example on YouTube, for example on this, that and the other, I'm gonna put effort in it. If I care about something, I'm gonna put effort in it. And despite us being taught by social media or learning by looking at social media that effort is uncool, it takes effort to teach yourself that effort is cool. Something you can try and remind yourself is that you actually just have one life, you have one life. And I feel like the nonchalance epidemic, the epidemic of effortlessness, just sort of tries to make us live as if we have multiple lives and life is a replay game where you can just, game over, replay. We forget that it's like a one-time thing. Why would you waste your life trying to not actually go and put effort in the things that you care about when it's the only life you got? Think about it. This day will never come again. this hour will never come again. This minute will never come again. This season of your life is gonna pass. When you turn the next year, you have become older and you're never going back. You're literally not just wasting time, you are wasting your life away. We only have one fucking life, and you better put in effort. You better put in effort to actually get to what you want in your life. Because if you let other people tell you that, oh my god, you're trying, that looks uncool, then you're going to actually miss out on your own life. If you really want results out of effort, and this goes into my second point, which is that consistent efforts do yield results. And the thing is, with effort, you have to do it not just twice and not thrice, sometimes even 100 million times for it to actually yield results. But the end result of constantly putting effort in something that you're working towards, something that you care about, is that it will yield results, and the results will tell you something. And I feel like that's a sort of satisfying output of it. It's the fact that if you just keep on trying and you hang in there and you keep on going and going, you will actually get better, as long as, of course, you learn as you keep going. You're not just repeating and doing something that's, not showing that you're growing. Like, for example, if it's with videos, you're not just putting out constantly bad videos that show that you're not trying to be better. As long as you let your effort teach you something and you keep on putting it in, you're gonna yield something. Isn't it such a relief to know that if you keep trying, you're gonna get there? If you keep walking, you're eventually gonna get to the goal. You cannot walk forever. If you're on a journey, you're gonna walk and you're gonna reach the end, as long as you keep walking, as long as you keep taking the steps. The third point is, like, effort is attractive. Effort is fucking attractive. I'm gonna say it. If you don't want to say it, effort is attractive. I literally find it so attractive for anyone to put in effort in, whether it's their life, whether it's their health, whether it's their relationships. It's so attractive to see someone put effort, because it literally shows that they care and they're chalant. The most you can be is to just be chalant about the things that you care about. Show that you care, show that you're committed to stuff. The last bit of it is the consequences of the death of effort. So if you yield to the death of effort, if you allow yourself to buy into this effortlessness epidemic, what are you going to lose? What are the consequences? Number one is you actively miss out on opportunities or relationships that have the potential to have changed your life for the better, to have made a really big impact on your life. Obviously, if you do not try to fix relationships with people you care about, if you do not try to put in effort in your own life, to put in effort to figure out your personal style, to put in effort to promote your music, to put in effort to work on your YouTube channel, hello, me, you're going to miss out on something that could have been potentially life-changing. Maybe your music would have gotten to a point where it blew up and suddenly you struck a deal with a music company, or you got a collabo with another famous musician or a musician you look up to, and you actually got to meet them in person. Maybe if it's a book you're writing, your book would have blown up and sold by the millions and billions. Maybe if it's a relationship you're supposed to fix, they were supposed to be lifelong buddies with you, or they were supposed to be someone that, would shift your perspective on life in a really positive way. Maybe if it's a YouTube channel, if it's something that you're working on for content, it would have come to pay your bills at some point in your life and come to afford you the life that you've always wanted but never afforded. Not trying, as we said in the beginning, means not failing, but also not trying means not giving yourself the chance to win. And I think that's so sad. That was such a weird way to end that, and I think that's so sad. Who cares what you think? The second thing is there's a loss of authenticity. I think authenticity is easily seen in the aspect of personal style, because it's personal, So if you try to conform to a certain aesthetic, for example, clean girl aesthetic, you try to be casual, you try to buy into the effortless look that is sort of trending or has been on social media, and it's not really what you feel speaks you. It's not your language in clothing. You actually end up losing your authentic self that you could have chosen to express through your outfits. You could have chosen to express through how you carry yourself and how you present yourself in terms of appearance. Your authenticity requires you to put effort. Authenticity is messy. Authenticity needs you to put an effort in not just your appearance, but in your own life. For you to be authentic, for you to be deeply you, there has to be an extending of effort into whatever you feel feeds your authenticity. So if your personal style is something that you have always wanted to develop, and it requires you to be messy and to put effort and to look different and to stand out and to, just be judged by other people, then if you decide to sit back and be like, I'm not ready for that, then your authentic self dies without you getting to meet them. And again, that is so sad. When I was writing my notes on this, when I was like literally thinking about this topic, there is this line that I wrote down, and I feel like I cannot really say it from my head exactly how it was, so I'm just gonna read it out. Effort is a big part of being alive. It's in everything we do. It's in how we live and move. Nothing ever comes up as perfect out of the blue. Even the seeds take time to grow. Effort is a way of life. Yeah. That was just so beautiful. I cannot say it in any other way. I guess what I was trying to say is at the end of it, life itself is effort. In breathing, in the way we live, in the way we move. Everything in life is an expression of effort. I think effort is majorly about sourcing joy from becoming, sourcing joy out of the messiness. That's what makes effort even more fulfilling. Putting effort into something, seeing yourself change, seeing yourself grow, seeing yourself become is ultimately the fruit of effort. So maybe this video should show you that putting in effort in your life is not desperate, is not cringe, is not uncool. It is very cool, and I think it's very sad that we let society dictate for us what's cool, what's not, what are we saying, who's the we. You know, we are buying into a hive mentality and living our lives based off of society's rules, forgetting that society is all of us as a collective, is all of us as a unit, is what we sort of deem to be good. Society is us, you know. Society is not one person who's like making the rules. It is us, and the more we allow ourselves to buy into these things, the more we feed the very hand that kills us. Anyways, I'm parched. Thank you for joining me on this little rant session. See you in the next one. I hope you stick around because I'm putting effort to grow my speaking skills and to just be able to put my thoughts out better. Anyways, I'm gonna see you guys in the next episode. This was lovely to film, and it is currently the 2nd of November, my birthday month. The 2nd of November, 2:07 p.m. in the afternoon, and I will see you later. I need a drink.